I'm just monitoring us over here, making sure we're all live. Hello, welcome everyone. We have an amazing session up planned for you now with Paul. Paul, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Paul Hibbets, and I'm an open source author and educator speaking to you from Vancouver, Canada.
Great, thanks, Paul. So Paul's going to give an awesome interactive tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and take myself off and give Paul the stage. And Paul, you can start with your tutorial.
Great. Thanks very much, Alexis. Okay, everybody. Thanks again for joining us today. We're going to be taking a look at Docsify-This today, and we're going to have a kind of a walkthrough style kind of approach with that. And I'm just going to check a few things myself to see how things are looking in the stream. So as you can see now, we're going to kind of use a little bit different approach here with the split browser view. On the left-hand side, there's going to be like a guide that I provided a link for in the chat for you to review anytime you want during or after the session. I'm going to kind of keep that on the left side and kind of go through it as we work together on seeing how to leverage Docsify-This to quickly get publishing with Markdown content. And then on the right side of that screen, you're going to see various things. For instance, you can see right now the Docsify-This UI, and we'll also be looking at some published Markdown pages there and stuff like that. So this is going to be a very interactive session, I'm hoping. Please say hello in the chat. We're going to be going through a couple of optional activities. If you want to do them, that's great. If you don't, you can just watch along. I'll be demonstrating them live. And then at the end, have some follow-up resources for you and stuff like that. So great to see a few people on the chat. Excellent. Thank you for attending. So let's jump right in, and I'll start the session off. So as I mentioned, we're going to be looking at using Docsify-This to take a leap into open publishing, a way to quickly start publishing Markdown content as responsive web pages. And so we should start with a few of the basics, just for those folks who are not familiar with Markdown. What is Markdown? Markdown is a text-only format that it's like a simpler version of HTML, where you can, make a heading with like a hashtag sign, space, and some text. You can make text bold by using 2 asterisks, start and end it. You can include a link by using square brackets and round brackets. So you can embed images. So kind of like a very simplified version of HTML. And the great thing about this is it's text only. It's a future-friendly format where you don't have to worry about, well, what if a certain software app is no longer available? It is just straight text files. And more apps are using Markdown format, which is awesome to see, and gives us lots of options for moving content around and reusing the content. So as you see on the right-hand side of your screen, that is the main application window of Docsify-This. Docsify-This is an open source project available on GitHub. Docsify-This allows you to take a Markdown file URL and magically turn it into a responsive web page. And that's just the beginning. You can do all kinds of stuff after that, but that's just the beginning. So why don't we together try it out and see what we can do using Docsify-This and a Markdown file. So basically, there's 3 steps to get publishing with Docsify-This. The first step is that you've got to have a Markdown file. Now, maybe you already have a Markdown file on GitHub or Coburg lying around. If you do, you could use that URL to the file, but probably don't have one handy. So I provided one for you here in the guide. So I'm going to take that URL and I'm going to plop it in the chat, and hopefully that works. So if you see there in the chat, you'll see a link from me, and that is to a GitHub Markdown file. Feel free to click on that link and view the file in GitHub. I'm just going to do the same thing on my side just to make sure it works. It does work. Excellent. So once you're viewing that file in GitHub, copy the entire URL of that file to your clipboard. And then you want to go to Docsify-This.net. I will also plop that in the chat for you just to make sure it's handy. And here we go. Second URL is Docsify-This. So here we go. How fast can we publish a Markdown file as a responsive web page? Go to Docsify-This, and you can just wipe out whatever is there and paste the URL. Oops, I've got the right URL here. Paste the URL, not a demo unless something goes wrong. Paste the URL into the field and then click on the button, Publish as Web Page. And if it all works, you'll see that same Markdown content now displayed as a standalone web page. Now, if you're watching along, I'm just going to go back to the previous screen, and you can do all kinds of things with that web page. For instance, we can choose to have a table of contents. On the left-hand side, I'm going to publish this web page, and you'll see that now with the nice table of contents that you can jump around to different content. I'm going to go back. And I'm going to go back again to the Docsify-This page, maybe choose a sidebar. I'm going to paste that URL in again here and go as web page. And then now we have a sidebar all automatically generated using the headers of this example Markdown file. So that's it. Like that is all that people need to do in order to transform a Markdown file that's online. As long as it's publicly accessible and you can view the Markdown of that file, you can use Docsify-This to present that file and to style that file. Oops. And we're going to be doing a lot of that in just a moment. So I'm just going to go back to where I was. Excellent. Okay. So the other thing I probably should highlight to you is like, well, how do you change the content? Like, how do you style these web pages? How does one page have a sidebar and another page doesn't? We're not changing the content of the file. That's correct. What we're actually doing is we're changing the URL of the file. And so by adding additional information, and Docsify-This handles this automatically, you can then style a web page. So I'm not sure if you can see my address bar. I'm going to do a little experiment and see if you can. I'm going to select that page and see. I'm just going to go over to my stream to see. Yeah, you're not able. It doesn't look like I can see the. Oh, there it is. I can see it now. So you can see my URL bar. So see in the end of my URL bar, it says and sidebar equals true. That tells Docsify-This to present the sidebar. If I change that to false, the sidebar is then not displayed. And again, you don't have to know anything about editing URL parameters. Docsify-This web page builder will do everything for you, but it's a really great shortcut in order to style and kind of revise pages once you've got them embedded in other systems. Okay, so that is a little intro. Let's start trying to explore what Docsify-This can do. I've got our first challenge together. It's called Style Lab. So what are we going to do? So what we're going to do is I'm going to share another URL in the chat. Here comes the URL. That's the third URL there. And basically, this is another file that's hosted on GitHub. And I'm going to open up, I'm going to open up Docsify-This again. There we go. And I'm going to paste that URL there. And what you get to do this time is when you're on the Docsify-This.net webpage, you'll see this link called Show More Page Appearance Options. And you can tap on that link, and then you'll start to see, oh, I can do all kinds of things with my Markdown content. So for instance, you can change a title on your browser tab. You can choose from various font families to style your text. You can change the font size, the line height. You can even change link color. So link color allows you to, of course, stylize the page as you want to see it, but it also lets you pick a link color that may be like the same as your LMS. And so you could use Docsify-This to seamlessly embed external Markdown content into your closed LMS system, for instance, if you want to do that. Scrolling further down the page, you'll see that there's lots of page display options as well, setting the width of your content. I will let you explore more all the things that you can do. So what your first challenge is, and it's not really a challenge, it's going to be just like fun, but or activity, is that with the URL I've given you, I'd like you to go to Docsify-This, and I'm going to again put Docsify-This URL in the chat. There you go. And then you can try, I'm just finishing up the, hopefully that's right. Yeah. Then you can just explore and try to stylize that same markdown file in any way you want. And then if anybody is game in a few minutes to do so, you can share back in the chat your Docsify-This generated URL. Okay, so I'll give everybody a couple minutes to explore that if they want while you're exploring. If you don't want to try it yourself, but just kind of like want to see stuff, I'm showing on the left-hand side of the guide some common style types. So for instance, you can make a simple page where you have content only, no table of contents, no sidebar. You might choose a font like Merriweather. That's a serif font and a 16-point size. And there you go. That would be a nice basic standalone page that you could use in various instances. You can also make something more for presentations where you have a large font size, quite a heavier headers font weight. And there's also support for dark mode. You can turn on the dark theme to be on all the time, or you can set your dark theme to automatically switch between light and dark depending on your system OS settings. And you can even set the maximum width of how much this content should take of your open browser window. You can style, as I mentioned, Markdown files to match LMS style. So you can embed seamlessly content from external Markdown files into your LMS. So Moodle, Sakai, Canvas, you can match the link colors, the fonts, text size to work with that. You can also use Docsify-This to present project documentation. And so you probably want to have a table of contents or a sidebar, use a sans serif font, maybe a slightly larger font size of like 18 point, and a maximum character width of 65. You can set maximum width in percentage or characters or even pixels. It's all up to you, all through the web page builder that you've seen on Docsify-This. So I'll give everybody another minute or two if you'd like to try to style a page. And might we have a brave soul in the chat who would be willing to share in the chat their link? Oh, awesome. I see. Thank you so much for sharing your link in the chat. I'm going to actually tap on that link. Awesome. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that link. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Christina. Oh, and Tom. Tom has also kindly donated a link. Thank you. I'm going to check that out. Awesome. Awesome. I see the dark mode link I see there. Thank you so much, Tom. Excellent. So people are starting to kind of wade into it a little bit, right? Now, this is, oh, Alexis, thank you so much as well for sharing a link. I'm going to take a look at that. Very nice. Great. So nice use of table of contents on the right-hand side. So this, by the way, is a very important concept you're like experiencing firsthand with Docsify-This, is that you can restyle the same content without modifying the content. So you can change the way the same content looks in different contexts to allow you to use that content in different ways and not have to go and edit the content itself. Everything is done through URL parameters. You don't ever have to touch a URL parameter if you want to. Everything is just about possible in the web page builder. It will build, as you've experienced now firsthand yourselves, these URLs. But once you take it up a next level, which we're going to right now, good segue, you can actually then not have to go back to the Docsify-This web page builder. You can actually directly modify and reload that page, and you'll see it change as you modify it. So you don't have to kind of do that, right? So in other words, let's take a look at, oh, actually, I should share my page. I have a page actually that I created beforehand. So let me just get that URL here. Here is my styled page. I'm going to put that in the chat. So there you go. And what I'm going to bravely do here, if this works, everybody, but I'm going to go to that page on my desktop, and now I'm going to go to that page on my shared browser window. Hopefully you see it there. So for instance, you see in my sample page, I used a very large text and I use this optional hide sidebar. So if I'm presenting content, I don't want the audience to see the sidebar all the time. If I'm showing this in a class, but I can selectively bring up the sidebar, tap on my topic, go to my topic, and my sidebar closes. That's all done by URL magic as well, or URL parameter magic. By the way, back to what I was saying, let's say I want the text even bigger, like drawing on the Spinal Tap reference earlier in the conference, make it bigger, right? 11. So let me go to my URL, and I'm going to put in a font size of 36 and hit return. And now you see, whoa, the text is even bigger. So you can modify on the fly just by using URL parameters everything that's available in the web page builder for you to work at and not have to go back to the builder. I mean, it's pretty quick, but nonetheless, maybe not something you'll want to do, right? And so that is the next level trick I want to show you, is using and modifying URL parameters. So I'm just going to go back to where I was. Perfect. And I'm just going to go back into the chat, see how we're all doing. Okay, great. Okay, so awesome. Thank you so much for following along, everybody, so far. We're going to be wrapping up in about 5 minutes. So let's go to the third part of our session. Oh, before we do that, any questions or comments, feel free to enter them into the chat. I've got my monitor arranged so I can keep an eye on the chat as I'm going through with this walkthrough. But if you have any initial questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Otherwise, what we're going to do in just one moment is work on our second and final challenge, which is called Style Detective. And in this challenge, you're going to actually be presented with a Docsify-This URL, and then your detective work is to look at that URL and see how is that URL going to change the presentation of the Markdown file that's being displayed. Oh, I see a comment with Christina. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're seeing that Docsify-This really is. I look at it as like an entry point for folks using or interested in Markdown publishing. The tool is designed to give you a lot of beginning or starter aspects of Markdown publishing. And the great thing is, if you ever outgrow Docsify-This, like, congratulations, it's almost like leaving home, because all your content is just Markdown files. You have a range of publishing tools that you can move to. So Docsify-This is made to be an easy entry point for people who want to do open publishing, but by design, it's also an easy exit point, so you are not trapped. The other thing that I should mention is that, did you notice you don't seem to have to upload a file to Docsify-This? It's true. Docsify-This will actually use your original content where you have it stored. No additional copies upload to a server. It is rendered dynamically in your browser from the Markdown the browser retrieves. So if you use Codeberg, you can display all your content from Codeberg and never upload it to any Docsify-This server because, well, there isn't one. It's purely a service, a rendering service. Okay, let's see if we can finish up our second challenge before I wrap it up. Challenge 2, Style Detective. Your mission. I'm going to give you quite a long URL in the chat, And your mission is to try to determine all the ways that URL is modifying the content. And I think maybe what we'll do is, as soon as you notice one of them, like, feel free to put it in the chat. Share with everybody what you notice, because there's a fair bit of stuff here in the URL. So it should keep you busy for a bit. I'm going to put the URL in quotes. I do believe the chat window will show it that way. No. Let me try again. I thought I tested this earlier. Just give me a, oh, I think I forgot that. Yeah, I got it now. I got it now. Here we go. Oh, no. Okay, so always have a backup plan. The backup plan is this. I can present it on my slide here, my shared screen. So tricky. So if everybody looks at the stream, you'll see a URL. Oh, if I remove the HTTP. Oh, thank you, Tom, for the hint. I will do it. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to remove the. Oh, good. Oh, maybe this is like a quiz time. That sounded great, Tom. Thanks for the hint, but no, that didn't work out either. One more try, actually. But I'm going to take your idea. I'm going to take everything out except for the parameters. No. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, you can see it on the stream. So on the left-hand side of the stream, there's the URL. Is it big enough? I'm hoping. Can someone let me know if it's readable on the stream in the chat? This will be our last challenge. Can someone let me know if it's readable on the chat? I'm just going to barrel ahead and assume it's readable on, and that you can take a look at it. So there you go. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Very sorry about this. I thought I tested it earlier and I was able to do this. Let me try one more thing. Okay, one more thing. I'm going to just copy the URL params and put that in the chat. Will that work? No. Okay. Well, do your best. Sorry about this. It's not a demo unless something goes astray, right? So maybe what I can do actually is maybe I'll do like this. Maybe I can do it piecemeal for you in the chat. So one moment. I'm going to do this. Oh, look at this. Okay, I can do it piecemeal. Just so everybody can get an idea of some possible URL parameters, and you'll see that there's actually a lot of things that you can do with the URL parameters. So I'm just kind of feeding things here for you one by one. The chat seems to be okay with that format. And so if anything interests you or if anything surprises you, let me know in the chat. I'll just continue. We're almost done, by the way. I know my time is coming to an end. Okay, and I got just two more. Second last one and last one. So you can continue this activity if you want after the session ends. But basically, you'll see that you can do all kinds of things with these URL parameters. You can turn on dark theme. You can change the font size. You can change the boldness of headers. You can even include a link that would take the viewer to the source GitHub file, source Markdown file on GitHub or Codeberg. As well, you can even have them view the Markdown source if you want. It's even possible in Docsify-This to include a button to copy the Markdown that is used to build the page onto your clipboard. And even to then take that Markdown and paste it into a learning LLM and discuss and ask questions about the content, because Markdown is also content format that LLMs are very comfortable with using both as input and output. So there's all kinds of possibilities. Okay, so we're just about wrapping up here. Sorry that didn't quite work out as I had hoped with the URL, but I hope that you can have seen some example URL perms in the chat, and that you can see, so get an idea anyway of some of the things that you can modify with it. Excellent. So Tom, thank you. I see there you shared a link. I'm just going to take a boo at that link and see what we have. Very nice. Okay, so we've got another stylized web page with also the header weight and font size adjusted. Excellent, excellent. So that worked out great. Thank you. Okay, so we're almost going to wrap up here. Next steps and common questions. So before you go, feel free to bookmark the guide that I shared earlier in the chat at the beginning of the chat. Okay. And I'm sure we'll post that somewhere on the blog of this session as well, the blog post of this session. And then you can see what you want to do about saving your challenge one. Oh, Christina, thank you for your question. Are there examples? What a great question. Yes, and in fact, let me share that with you right now, because as the community is building example sites, I'm actually asking permission to share them on the Docsify-This webpage. So I have for you, I think, exactly what you're looking for. Here you go. So that link will take you to a section of the Docsify-This web app, and you'll see some example pages that other folks have created using this tool. And that includes, by the way, a really great example of an open source documentation project on Open Lab at Texas A&M University. I've also got a OER digital literacy course from New Zealand on that set of links, and a SFU University comp sci course. Not mine, but another instructor's on those links. You're most welcome. The guide also contains a third challenge if you want to do it on your own time afterwards, which is actually creating a Markdown file on GitHub or Codeberg and then displaying that file with Docsify-This. And there's also various templates. By the way, you don't have to start with a blank slate. There's actually a number of Markdown templates that are also available to help get you going. And all of those example projects I shared earlier used a template as a starting point. So I think that's about it. Again, if you have any questions or comments about Docsify-This, you can always contact me at paul@hibbetsdesign.org, and I'm sure I'll post some stuff on the session page after things wrap up. And I think that's everything. Does anybody have any last question or comment? Feel free to enter it in the chat. And by the way, I really appreciate the participation in the chat. Thank you so much for that. So I'm just going to hang out here and see if there's anything else coming into the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for the nice comments. Thank you. Awesome. Well, I hope you found this session useful today, and I hope you can find a way that you can leverage Docsify-This for publishing your Markdown content. Thanks very much, everybody, and have a good day. Thank you.
Nom nom nom.